All right. Here we go. Another record to review. Right?
Yes. Sorry. Yeah, we ready to go. Welcome back. I'm glad, we were just sitting here talking. Views of starting to pop up on these record reviews, so I'm glad you guys are liking them, and I hope you continue to listen. We have a new artist this week that we're going to touch on. Nick, go ahead, introduce them, tell us a little bit about them.
This week we have Kaleo, and they have actually the cover of this record is by far their best cover. I'm a cool sucker for killer covers.
Yeah.
In the back, so on the front they got the volcano going off, which really ties into the fact that they're from Iceland. They're an Icelandic band.
Oh, okay.
And like if you look up their names, it's like total Icelandic, 13 words, letters, and they're like umlauts and curves. Like all members are they're totally Icelandic.
Cool. I did not know that.
Kaleo has been around since 2012. They are a blues rock band from Iceland. This is their third album. They had a self-titled in 2013. In 2016, they had an album called A.B., which sold over 1 million copies worldwide, had some pretty big singles, kind of put them on the map. And now in 2021, we just got Surface Sounds. And we're me and Ryan been listening to it all week.
Yeah, it's I recognized one of their prior songs. That Way Down We Go song was something that I had heard before, not realizing that was this group. Yeah, good group. I mean, they're solid, good bluesy sound, kind of a unique bluesy sound. When I was listening to them, I couldn't help but think of Sons of Anarchy. I don't know if you got that vibe.
Okay.
I haven't ever seen that show, but kind of that biker style of rock blues with kind of like the lead singer has I thought he had a phenomenal voice.
It's super unique.
Yeah, it's got that low kind of growly tone to it, but man, he hits these falsetto notes and these higher pitched notes sometimes that are impressive. And a person that has that lower growl kind of vocal, they have more control of their voice than what people give them credit for. I can't remember the lead singer of Disturbed's name off the top of my head, but he is another one that he's got this growl to his voice, but that's not just his voice. That's on purpose. Those guys have a lot of control and sustainability with their voice. And when this lead singer for Kaleo goes on to those falsetto higher notes throughout some of the songs, that was my kind of favorite part of the album. The music is kind of, other than with the exception of a couple songs, but the music is almost kind of like just in the background compared to how much they influence his voice and how much they put his voice forward. But yeah, overall, I thought it was good. I really enjoyed it. That bluesy sound, not much out there with that type of sound, unless there's somebody you can think of.
No, the whole time I was listening to this record, I was like, my God, this is like a Nathaniel Rateliff record. I'm like, this sounds like a Nathaniel Rateliff. And then I was kind of listening to this all week, and it was kind of rainy and kind of crummy here, and I just like couldn't get into the album. And finally, like today, it was nice out. I had the windows down. I was driving around, and I was like, "Oh yes!" It was like, this feels like a Black Keys record. So
yeah.
if you like the Black Keys, if you like Nathaniel Rateliff, you like that blues rock, this is right up that alley. Especially, and I'm going to start off with the first single, which "Break My Baby," which is the second song on the album. The first song is kind of an intro song. Second song, "Break My Baby," really just grungy, like. Just slow, like you just feel cool when you listen to it.
Yeah,
like if you're driving, you put that on, you're just like, I feel like a badass right now.
You're right. It makes you want to rip a cig and put on a chain.
Do a burnout. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you on that. It's
I
funny to say that, and I want to remind the people listening, Nick and I do not speak all week when it comes to this. So any type of reaction we have is 100% authentic. So when you said it took you a while to get into the album, dude, I'm with you on that. Like, I was listening to it and I'm like, first off, other than that song, The Way We Go Down or something like that, is
Yep.
I didn't know that was them until just a couple days ago, and it came up on my iTunes on shuffle. So I had no idea what I was going to start listening to when you picked this album, and that Break My Baby song was the one that got me kind of into it about the third or fourth time that I listened through it. I thought that song had great dynamics. The Softs they're really good at, blues albums. Rock blues, they can kind of be, you think about like AC/DC. When I think AC/DC, I don't think dynamics. I think good bluesy guitars with a good voice and a straightforward bass part that just drives, like a driving song. When you get into some of those bluesy rock albums, they can tend to be a little one note with some of their dynamics. It's not their mentality, but this album had more of kind of like almost like a New Orleans bluesy feel to it too. It had some good horns throughout the album. But that song Break My Baby, it was my favorite song for sure. Falsetto voice was a nice contrast in that song. I'm a big fan of choruses that, songs tend to build up to a chorus. I'm a fan of a song that is up here and the chorus is the quiet drop down part, and then they build back up into the riff and into the song. So big props to them on that. Another one that I really
in a row. That's the second week in a row that we have picked the exact same song as our favorite song on the album, which is crazy.
I liked some of the other ones. Some of the later songs, like the acoustic songs, that the last two tracks on the album were really, really good. And I thought, man, he could come out with an acoustic album as well, just like an EP with some acoustic stuff. And I think that would be, really good, especially with some slide guitar in there and some more harmonica parts. I think would be an awesome, absolutely awesome acoustic album for this man to do, because his voice has a good tonality. It's rich, it's deep, it's growly at times, and that's a variety that isn't really showcased much anymore. So yeah, big fan of that. Alter Ego was another one that I really liked. His vocal range on Alter Ego was, I think, the best out of all the tracks. I did like the acoustic ones, but this one he was able to really push his vocals out, and he hits a note towards the end of the song that gave me chills. So big fan of that. They also, I don't know if you noticed this, Nick, but they used girl backup vocalists very nicely.
I missed it.
If you listen to Alter Ego and a couple of the other ones, they use some female background vocals to fill in that space. Because again, when you have that low-toned voice, the low-toned guitar sound, even the drums, the snare drum is like a deep snare drum.
It is. They all are real low.
Sure. The snare drum definitely is a deeper snare drum, and it's got more of a warm sound to it rather than a pop. And so they were smart on this. What they're missing is that high-end kind of sound. And by incorporating those female vocalists, Walk on Water, they had a full female choir in the background singing the Walk on Water part. That's smart music producing, recording, writing. It gives that high-end sound to that otherwise lower-end bluesy sound that they had. But yeah, big fan of that. Any other songs that stood out to you, Nick?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to start off back with my familiarity with the band. Obviously, I was first introduced to these guys in the store with the AB album, and we still get it in from time to time, and it sells quite well still. With that big single, that monster single they had on that album, Way Down We Go, of course. So when the new one came out, the labels were pushing it. I would be in conferences, and they'd be like, hey, the new Kaleos coming out. And, their tour has been delayed twice now. So they were supposed to, this album was supposed to come out last spring. Then the tour was going to be in 21, like through May through June of 21. So like right now. And then it got pushed to later. And then it's finally back on the books February to May of 22 now. So which is the reason why I picked this album, because it's going to be, this record's already been shuffled so much that it's going to be forgotten. It's their scheduled timing, their tour date, mean, this record came out. They're not going to tour it until February.
Right.
That's unfortunate. That sucks.
Yeah.
The first singles came out last year, and the album didn't come out until June 21. And the tour's not till next year. It just got all messed up. You know, you go from a band that should sell 1 million copies to now it's spread all out. It's total disarray, and it is what it is because of the pandemic. So
well, and that's got to be frustrating for them too, because after how many sales they had on their last album, you know,
over 1 million. Yeah,
I think that they were excited for this album to come out, and they should have been. You know, they had the success.
Absolutely.
They went into the studio. I could tell that this was an album that they took their time on.
2016 was their last album, so
so there's some
years.
Serious writing going on for this album. Things that what I loved in general about the album too was, you know, they did little things like a harmonica part. You know,
I dug that.
You need that bluesy harmonica. It wasn't like, you know, I'm not talking like Blues Travelers type of harmonica solo. I mean, it wasn't anything crazy, but it was a great addition. I still think my favorite part of the album was their use of the female vocalist. It was just unique. It sounded good. It sounded choir-esque at times. It allowed the singer to kind of show off his range as well, because again, you have that high-end vocal part in the background. It allows him to kind of do this range within his vocal range and kind of push that limit, not worrying about getting too high up into an octave because he has that octave undertone going on behind him. Really, really smart when it came to that. That harmonica song, or that harmonica part, was on that song "Hey Gringo."
That is actually, which breaks into that was probably my second favorite song, which was "Hey Gringo," because it was such a departure. Again, they used the harmonica. It was a really kind of a cool like story song.
Sure.
It was just, you know, we went from like the beginning of the album was like a Black Keys album where it's just like feel cool, it's driving, it's badass, and then as the album goes on, it definitely like gets into something else. And Hey Gringo's kind of in the middle, and then like you said, the acoustic stuff was at the end. Yeah. And it kind of go through the whole thing, and it kind of brings up the title of the record is Surface Sounds.
Okay.
And the volcano's exploding on the top, and they do all this work, I'm assuming, you know, that's going underneath what's going on, and you see the little bit that's exploding. You know, well, there's a reason they did this. You know,
well, and it's a cool album cover. I'm with you on that. I think the pacing of the album was good. I'm a sucker for acoustic songs. I don't care what the artist is. I love a good acoustic song. If you can sound good acoustically and draw me in, I know that you're a good musician and you know what you're doing, because those acoustic songs were good. And then they finished with that Walk on Water song where he almost kind of, I mean, he's Jesus-esque with it. You know, his voice and everything was good. It was a real good religious feel, which gives me, you know, the southern rock feel. I know they're from Iceland, but it gave me like that southern.
Oh, absolutely.
Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, that kind of feel with the album was a nice. It was nice. They would do well over there in that area of the United States as well.
You would never know they're from Iceland by listening to them. You would never know ever.
No. They even had that almost that southern draw to it. You know, I don't know. It was good. I didn't love a couple things. I know I try to touch a couple things that I wish, you know, again, these guys are professional musicians. I cannot sit here and say what they should have done, you know, but I'm a listener. I try to listen for things that I wish had the album had, you know, kind of selfishly, I guess. But
no, it's okay. We're reviewing it. We could do that.
No, I know, but I wasn't in love with the drums. I'm a drummer at heart. That was the first instrument I learned. I love good drum parts. I think that drums really add to an album, but I just wasn't in love with it. I don't care for the low end snare drum, but maybe that's the pop punk influence in me. That snappy snare drum gives it a little bit, you know, it fits with their sound. It does. It just it's not
was in the background. There was no memorable drum part in the whole album. Now that you say that, I don't think of any part that I'm like, oh yeah, that was a really good drum part.
And
no, I didn't.
Those people that know me, like Nick, you, and my close friends, I air drum everything that if I hear a part, I'm like, oh yeah, I love that drum part.
There was zero air drumming going on.
I didn't have an air drum thought in my mind the entire album. There isn't a good roll, there isn't a good intro, a good catchy beat. It's very straightforward bass drum, snare drum, hi-hat with some couple tom parts, like nothing crazy. So I was kind of disappointed in that. Along with that, there wasn't a bass part that I was like, great. Like that was a cool little bassy riff, or it was in the background, the bass and the drums. But again, with the bassiness of his voice, you can't have all of these parts highlighted because of the area in which he sings on the octave. So it's tough. It's a tough time to mix, I'm sure. Mixing an album like that's got to be tough, but that bummed me out. I was really begging for that. And really the last thing, with a blues album or like a Southern rock album, I really wanted a squealing guitar riff lead at some point in one of the songs. Just a jam bluesy lead that just never showed up. There's a couple little parts.
I was going to say, I think in Break My Baby, there's, I think it's good. Not like shredding.
Yeah, I mean, get up high on the neck of the guitar and play the blues. Don't sing the blues the whole time. Play it. Let the guitar player do his bluesy part as well. You know what I mean? Like, well, a good blues band to me has that contrast where you have the lead singer singing the blues and then that guitar part backing up the singing with a good bluesy guitar riff as well. It didn't have it. The main riff in Break My Baby was very good, but I really wanted a part where it just was a jam with a good lead. They did it with the harmonica in Hey Gringo, but it just wasn't enough for me.
What'd you think of that song Skinny? That was a crazy song.
See, that one
it was like a story. This is like a story of like modern like vanity.
Yeah, about modern vanity. Yeah, and
like stay skinny, and like I felt like stay pretty. Yeah, and it was like, he was slamming on it, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I'm all for that. Whatever. It was such a departure from the rest of the vocal parts. Like I didn't quite understand how that fit into the album, but I mean, it was a good song. It jammed. It did. I remember being thrown off by it, being like, man, he's singing about brother and kind of unity and family, and now all of a sudden like there's this random like anti vanity
pop culture record
thing, which was fine. But overall, I dug it. I think I found a few tracks that I'll probably listen to more and more. Like I said, those acoustic tracks are really, really good. I do think that Break My Baby is definitely the best one on the album. Definitely kind of gave me that Sons of Anarchy feel. Or if you've ever seen From Dusk Till Dawn, the band at the strip club, that's kind of that cool, I don't know. It just gave me that vibe the whole time. Good vocals, good gritty vocal part. I definitely suggest taking a listen to this album, because I think if you like that style of bluesy Southern rock, I think you'll find a few tracks that you'll enjoy.
I agree. And I think I'd have to agree with you on that too. The album is not a single. It's not like the Grandson record review. We should also mention, we've reviewed Grandson, Sturgill Simpson. This is now our Kaleo. You can check out those links over on I'll put them up here on the thing, and I'll put them in the comments below. But there's definitely some tracks on here that would be great in a playlist. I think it's still worth picking up. I think it's still worth spinning.
For sure.
If you like Black Keys, and the more I listen to this, the more I'm like, these guys have been listening to Black Keys records for 10 years in Iceland.
Sure.
And now they're spinning it back at us with an Icelandic their twist on it. I think they did a good job. I'm gonna give it, I was 7 or 8 out of 10. I think right in there.
Yeah, I give it like a 6 or 7. It just didn't draw me in like Grandson did, or even the My Morning Jacket one we did was a little bit more of a draw for me. I eventually liked it more. I think I'm going to continue to listen to it because I think it kind of grew on me a bunch. I do miss those things that I would love to hear in a good blues album, though. You know, I think that's what separates an alternative blues album, kind of like what this one kind of felt like, versus, you know, that true bluesy, rocky kind of feel.
Yeah.
But good biker kind of feel. It does. You're right. It makes you feel cool when you're listening to some of those songs. Like,
Yeah.
I can drink whiskey straight. Yeah, no problem. I can rip a cig. You know? Like, those kind of thoughts went into my brain. But big fan. Yeah, but check out if you haven't checked out the other reviews that we've done, please check those out, and we'll continue to do so. I think next week, Nick, I'm going to be back home in your area, so maybe we'll be doing one together in live, probably in the store or something like that. So we'll be setting that up and getting that taken care of. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one, Nick. Enjoying it. I'm loving doing this. I'm excited to continue, and you know, I hope you guys listening are opening your eyes to some new albums and some new artists.
Yeah, be sure to subscribe to like the channel. We got Record Store Day just under 2 weeks away for us. Lots of new records coming out for that. We've got morning show. I think we're going to be giving away tickets to giving away some goodies for George Thorogood. Their marketing reached out to us, and so we're going to do all sorts of fun stuff this summer. So be sure to like, subscribe, share, and we will see you next week with another album.
Sounds good. See you guys.
See you guys.